Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the new episode of today's Workflows Flywheeler. So let's move to the next one. It's about we keep talking about connections. It's about why connection is more important to trigger higher workforce productivity in your mind.
This one is very clear and more easy. Once you start to have a good internal or external connection, the challenge that you have to problem that you have to solve is not anymore something that you are just taking as a service level agreement in between two people. It will be converted in something that is more personal, which means that once you have a good connection with the other, being internal or external, once you present a certain problem to be solved, if there is a good interpersonal relationship, suddenly this problem is our problem, not anymore my problem or your problem, which means that this will have really an impact on the productivity, on the way that we solve the situations, and also on the speed, because suddenly the other side will embrace your problem as being their problem too, and they want really to contribute to move it forward. If it is just in the formality of sending mail, receiving mail, without a proper face to the problem, it's very different. It's a service that you need to do, but that's it. Doesn't matter. You will be in the pile together with 100 more problems to be solved. That's why really companies should not only improve, but also to push the people to be connected internally, but also very important to be connected externally with the vendors, with the partners, with the customers, because the fact that there is a personal relationship, it will make a huge difference at the end.
Right. Thank you, Pedro. From my side, I will mention that the connections is one of the fundamental pillar to build a great workforce productivity, and I will share with you those 5 things which is in my mind. The number one is about collaboration and knowledge sharing. So if we don't build the connections, there will not be any collaboration in the team, and the work is done in a team, because now we don't do like A, B, C, and we'll do all of them. Right now, we're doing a piece of A and a piece of B, and we need someone else to slide in another part. We need to get the right relationships and have the right collaboration to get things done as well too. And the secondly, which is a big part, I've seen constantly people they lose all the knowledges. Yes, there is a possible to lose some expertise knowledge, but a lot of knowledge of the project should be retained. And that's the way, when multiple people have a good connections, they can actually retain the teams, because if someone is falling apart, other people still have the knowledge. Number 2 is about motivation and engagement. So employees only like to work, and workforce team members like to work in a company for a long period of time when they feel like they're connected and they feel they belong to that place. If they're not belonging to this one, they're not emotionally attached about it. Because I've seen so many people who just join a company just to make more money, and don't feel attached to the brand and the company and the people, and they fall apart so often. Even they're so talented people too, and it's not entirely all their fault. It's often the fault of the company and the leaders as well too, who couldn't make them feel they belong to the company. So that's the number 2. Number 3, I will say, it's very important to drive innovation and creativity, because when the people are working together, and if you could train them how to work together and how to do the right brainstorming, they can actually innovate a lot of valuable things by using their creativity. Because by more they do about this one, working together, connect to their brain. How many times we talk, I would like to pick your brain about it, because this is what it is called connections, because that's why make them feel like they can pick each other ideas and connect the pieces and build really something incredible for the company. Number 4 is about support and resilience. So now we are living in an era where people are in a very changing environment. This company, we keep talking this word, transformation. It's like constant amount of changes. So when there are so many amount of changes, if you could connect the employees and to really innovate them and motivate them, so this could create a lot of lightning spark in a big part of the workforce too. But it can go other way. I know that some people will say this one, oh, well, if there's a negativity, then it will also lighten up a lot of negativity as well too. And that's the point. we don't want it to trigger the negativity. We want to keep the positivity, and we make sure that the workforce is good right away. So it's a completely different point. We're talking about problem so that's why we have to have a really good workforce with well connected, so they can inspire each other, they can coach each other, they can support each other. So that will create that supportive and resilient environment. And the last one, the trust and communications, because if we don't connect them, the people will not be able to trust each other. And if they will not trust each other, they will not be able to open up each other. They will not be able to speak to the problem. How often we see the managers are not able to speak their problems to their leaders? How often the executive cannot speak out their problems to their managers, and because they are not comfortable to speak, they don't feel safe, and finally the problem there, and finally the team lose, company lose. Damage happens for everyone. So that's why I've in my perspective, these are the key areas to really focus on to help companies to be workforce more productive by the benefits of building connections. Pedro, do you want to add on?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. For me, the most important thing, and somehow moving already to the next question, is really about communication. Because if you don't really feed the communication, if you don't implement an open communication inside the organization, you cannot create the connections. And communication is not top-down, bottom-up, but is side-to-side, peer-to-peer, internally, and also, as I mentioned before, externally. Which means that this problematic is not just internal inside the organization, but it is also the way that you connect to the market, the way that you connect with your business environment. And this all is all about also communication, as I mentioned before. Okay, so that's why really, if we need to emphasize in something, it's absolutely about the communication and put people to communicate each other. There is something that maybe that I can complement is a well-known problem that is more a barrier, but is the wrong way that we are still using the email to communicate, to interact, which means that the email that's supposed to be a facilitator, if we don't use it properly, and most of the organizations unfortunately do not use it properly, it becomes an additional source of problems, an additional barrier for communication. We all know companies, and there are a lot of them, where you have one person sits near or next to the other. They don't talk, they don't call, they send emails. Okay, which means that they don't, coming to our question, they don't collaborate, they don't interact. Means the fact that they have an email tool, instead of being something that is an added value, it ultimately will be a barrier. Yeah.
And they don't trust that as well too.
Yes.
A lot of companies I've seen, they just wanted to document everything, so that's why they're not speaking, they're just sending in the email. Because
they prefer everything in writing mode. First of all, because they don't feel comfortable to talk, and secondly, because they don't trust each other. And if they don't trust each other, they are not in a collaborative mode, and we are coming to the same problem.
Exactly, and it's not a team anymore.
Yes.
Thank you, Pedro, for adding additional value. So let's move to the next question. The next question we want to talk about is what are your top 3 tips to build strong relationship between employees and the brand of the company?
Yeah, let's put the question. How many organizations the employees are really not understanding what is the value proposition of the organization, what the organization is really giving to the society, is really doing. So this is something that is very common, which means that the employees are there, they do the daily activities, the tasks, but they really don't understand what is the purpose of the company. And this comes again to the same discussion, is about communication. Of course, in this case, it's something that should be promoted top-down, which means that the top management needs to have this in consideration, needs to create the proper interaction. And I think some formality is important, like a regular town hall meeting where they are communicate formal and informal what is the purpose of the company, what are the objectives, what they want to do. Also, it's very important to have day events with all employees, not necessarily the town hall, but in a regular basis to meet the employees, to discuss the ideas, to share in a more informal way. But also there is something that is a complementary thing that also they should use. If they use, for instance, some small merchandising of the company, like clothes, backpacks, that belongs to the company. This will create a sense of belonging to the employees, because normally the employee is very proud if they wear a nice shirt that is coming from the company or a nice backpack, and these type of things also that are relatively easy to promote. Normally they are ignored. Of course, normally you see it when they do some external events, but in a regular basis, is not so much promoted. And this is a good thing, because, of course, it's also a little bit cultural dependent. The level of impact is not the same everywhere. I may say to you, for instance, Europe maybe is less, but for instance, I realized that in Southeast Asia, people really feel very proud to wear something that refers the company where they work for. And so this is also some easy tools that should be really used and promoted.
Thank you, Pedro. I truly believe there's a lot of goals you just shared in this last few minutes. It's very tactical and very easy to somebody, a company, a leadership people to just execute.